Okay. First question was,
Well, actually, where you originally from?
well, originally I'm from Carlsbad, New Mexico. A lot of people don't know it's where the caverns are at. That's
Uh,
the way most people identify it. And I've been in San Francisco for about 20 years. I came here around 1958, 59.
con tu familia y todo.
No, well, I have some family here already, but most of my family is back in New Mexico.
I see.
And I've been working in the mission about 10 years actively. And this is going back to 68, 1968, when I was first working as an organizer for EOC in the mission. Later on, I started working as as a district organizer, and I had my own staff. So we were organizing people right in the mission, or in the East Mission.
Behind, was there a kind of a conflict at that time that was going on that you were organizing behind?
Well, it was generally just uh, at the time, the poverty programs that had just been really coming in at that time. Well, they had been around for a while, but
Right.
a lot of organizing was people were just kind of getting around to what organizing was really all about and what the whole thing was.
Yeah, that was a heavy time in organizing.
Yeah, it was, because at the time is when also San Francisco State strike was having its thing,
Right.
and Berkeley, all of that was going on at the
Right.
time.
Right.
And of course, the Mission Coalition organization was also forming at that time, and then LULAC had just come into the community as well. American J Form, which
Can you
both
can you explain what LULAC is a little bit?
LULAC is a League of United Latin American Citizens, and it's a national organization which has been around for just about 50 years. As a matter of fact, they're celebrating their 50th anniversary this next year in Houston, Texas, where it originated. Basically, it's a civil rights organization, and mainly deals with education and with any kind of, you know, civil rights matters that affect the Spanish-speaking community. Uh, like currently, they've got like the Education Center, which is National Education Center on 16th and Mission, and they've got these education centers throughout the country in some key cities in the Southwest and in the East Coast as well.
Yeah. So was that like your first community organization that you were involved with?
Yes, it was the first organization I was involved in. Well, I was the president of it back in '68, up into to '70, and that organization basically the only one that's involved in. Although I've worked with a number of other organizations, and been a committee member or chairman of committees. Yeah.
Of different other organizations, huh?
Right.
Wow. Yeah. So currently, in your organizing? What are you working on right now?
Well, currently I'm working as doing some coordinating for the California voter registration education project, which is really an effort in the Southwest to get more Spanish-speaking people to participate in the voting process. Getting out there and educating people on the importance of registering and getting out to vote. I think that a lot of people, right now, are aware of how important it is in view of 13. I
Right.
mean, everybody uses 13, so we might as well
Right.
use it ourselves.
Yeah. That's important too because like California is on the verge of becoming like the first third world state in the country by 1990. I'm pretty sure that will more or less be what'll be happening, and in order for like third world people to get the vote power, it'll be necessary to register a lot of people that, and I'm sure there are a lot of third world people that aren't registered at all, as far as voting goes.
Yeah, I would say that in the Bay Area, you've got, I'd say, about 1 million people Spanish speaking,
Right.
and I would say that at least over half would be eligible voters, or are eligible voters. A lot of them, don't understand the process, because a lot of them have never participated, not because of them not wanting to is because nobody's really gotten out there and dealt with that
And it
problem.
pushed the issue, right?
And of course, the racism that has always been there, in
Right.
terms of it, like they say, San Francisco is a very liberal kind of a town, but in essence, it's really more conservative than most of the communities,
Mm.
no matter how one might look at it.
Hmm.
And when you get out of San Francisco into the rural areas or up in, then you find that the prejudice is more open there. It's more
Right.
subtle here, but
Right.
it's really open
Right.
there.
Yeah, I've experienced that myself,
Mm.
going to these small, us like suburbs out here.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I think the awareness. Uh, I think there is becoming the awareness has already been has already started, but I believe that uh, in the future by 1990, like I said, because I read this article, and by 1990 it said that California will be more or less a third world um, state. You know, the first one in the nation, right? And I believe that in order to get that, make that goal more possible, that more people should, be voting, and your job by registering people to vote is important in that sense, right?
Yeah, I think again, we just need to understand that, like what was happening in the '60s isn't what's happening today. And I think a lot of the people that have been there, a lot of them are still hanging on to that kind of thinking.
Right.
It's not like to say, well, we're going to start a revolution today and it's going to happen, because I don't think people in this country are ready for that kind of thing,
Right.
in terms of, because everybody's living a good life. I mean, you're not seeing anybody starving. Usually, when you find that kind of situation, you're not going to find anybody really into, dealing with it on that
Right.
level, although, and, but uh, I just think that, people just have to start, getting into learning about uh, what the whole process is in terms of getting, electing officials and what have you. How important it is that, we begin to deal with it on that level.
Right. Right. Um, was it like a struggle for you, Manuel, to get like to where you are today as far as your work?
Well, I don't know where I am in essence. When you, I'm saying it's been a struggle. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been rough. Again, it's a question of educating people as to what's happening to them.
Yeah, that's always a struggle.
And so yeah,
Yeah.
it's like they say, there's three kinds of people in this world. There are those that do, those that watch, and those that ask what happened. So when you get, I like to think that I'm in the first category because, it is true that if you're just going to stand around and look around and look,
Right.
well, you're not going to get anywhere. And when you
Right.
ask what happened, then that means they got you,
Yeah.
between something, and
Yeah.
it's going to be tougher to get out of it.
I heard that. Really. Really. Um. Okay. In doing some of my own research for today's program, I came across some interesting facts that I want to mention and that our listeners might be interested in. One is that many years ago, 18th Street, to me and you, used to be a river, the Arroyo de Dolores, it was called. This river flowed into a lake that stretched from approximately 14th to 22nd Streets and between South Van Ness and Dolores Streets. And from what I understand, it still exists underground today, at least parts of it anyway.
Mhm.
Do you know anything about that?
No, I know that most of the city was underwater at one time. A lot of it, or a
Mm,
big part of it was. But
right.
that's an interesting.
Yeah.
Interest.
I thought that people might want to know that. Uh, Another thing I found out was that during the gold rush, near Chinatown was where the barrio was, the so-called barrio,
Hmm.
for the Latin people in San Francisco at that time. Do you know anything about that at all?
I know a lot of people that used to live in the North Beach area, which they said was a settlement of Spanish speaking, and like there are still some places there, like the Sinaloa, which
Mm-hmm.
is a nightclub, but it was part of that scene. I mean, as far as some of the Latin flavor still left there, like the church up on the square. I forget what the name of it is,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of those still a lot of telltale
Still
signs that
exists.
people were there.
Yeah,
The Spanish
signs.
speaking people were there.
Right. Right. Uh, yeah, like I know Treat Street was named after a owner who owned horse race a horse racing track
Right.
around 24th entry.
Around 24th, right?
Yeah, and all those streets around there are named after
Horses or the owners.
the owners. Yeah, and other various other people that have to deal with the history of the city
Hmm.
and the Mission District. Those are just a few historical facts that I came across that more or less encompass an earlier perspective of the Mission District's history. Given your number of years, Manuel, in the mission, can you give a more recent historical account of the mission?
Well, and you mean as far as what's been coming off now in terms of organizations or
Well, yeah, in terms of organizations or in terms of just any historical kind of input that you might have seen in your lifetime in the mission.
well, I think people are become a little more aware of, of a lot of the things like when you look around today you see murals,
Right,
the art,
right,
that's more conspicuous, more no
right.
more graffiti,
And that's evolved around after the 60 around things that happened in 68 too.
right.
Right,
Well, a lot of that became a little more visible to more
right,
people. A lot of our people that have a lot of talent, in the arts, have finally come out. And, it's as is evident today. You walk into the mission, you see murals
right,
all over the place, which is good
right,
because it reminds you, that you know it gives you some perspective of yourself and what's there and what has been there.
right, right. And the struggles that have been happening, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Uh, have you noticed anything else? Any other kind of things?
Well, like publications or people are more into a lot of different things now than before. Take the media.
Right,
You find more raza in media than you had before, although it's still very limited. Media still doesn't deal with raza on a positive level. The only reason that media deals with us is because the FCC requires that you deal with different people.
right.
Otherwise,
It's more or less a
as a
law.
matter of fact, this morning I was listening to a radio station on a. He was commenting. The general manager was commenting on the stringent rules that the FCC has on radio stations. He felt that the stations should have more freedom than they do from the FCC. I kind of disagree with him because I thought if they were any less stringent, and they're really not as strict as they
They
seem to be,
should be too. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
that stations would just tell you to go
Take a walk.
where or take a hike. That's what they tell you if they could.
Right.
But since I'm glad that the FCC has this kind of hold on them, otherwise we just absolutely wouldn't have anything.
Right. Yeah. And I've seen that in the emergence of that community station KPOO,
Hmm.
KPOO, and other organizations like Mission Media Arts, which is a video group
Hmm.
in the Mission District, and plus like the publications, Tecolote, and other various publications in the Mission District.
Well, it's like sometimes some of the stations they think they're very liberal.
Right.
I've approached them on some issues and asked them if they would, these are stations that I had to work with for a long time.
Mm.
I'd asked them to, for instance, I asked one particular station, which I won't mention,
Right.
that to do some programming on the Coors beer, during the strike. Well, the strike is currently still on. I mean, the boycott.
Right. Right.
And the station, supposedly very liberal, told me, well, we decided to do labor issues. Although all these years I had been helping them out, with programming, giving my time to interview people and bring people in to help them in their ascertainment, so that the FCC wouldn't come down on them.
Right.
Then when I asked them, hey, let's do an issue here, it wasn't that it was controversial to them. It was that Coors was advertising through their station.
Right.
Which I mean, if you're gonna take something away, I think you should give something back.
Exactly.
and to make a program against or make a program to make people see what's going on
Yeah.
in any kind of dispute. I mean, I think that's the job of the stations to give that time to organizations and again live up to that ascertainment.
Right. Do you believe that things have improved since, let's say, that time, as far as
You-
those kind of issues?
Uh,
As far as divergent views being expressed and those
well,
kind of things.
some stations, like I said, some stations do cooperate well in it, but I'd say by and large, most of them don't.
Some are receptive, though.
Some are receptive,
Mm.
yes. And again, it's not criticizing all the media because there
Right.
have been some people, some of the stations that have been open and they've, but by and large, like I said, if it wasn't for any kind of rules that the FCC had, and even at that, like I said, they're not that. They don't. I mean, I don't see any license being taken away from anybody. Because like if you go back into their files and you look at the ascertainment in the last 5 years, you'll see that a lot of what they put down has never been done. They've never even come close to it.
Right.
The only problem is that the community groups haven't got the kind of money to really go around and deal with these things all the time. So all you can really do is deal with the stations whenever there's um, whenever
There's like reason for them to be challenged.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel that there are stations that exist that should be challenged?
I think all of them should be challenged. you
Yeah.
know, because I mean, again, you can't let them just sit there because if you let them just sit there, of course they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, but like in your eyes, are there any that are really, let's say, outstanding?
Yeah, there's a number of them that I would say yes.
Really. And these pertain to TV stations also?
My TV stations as well, which are probably worse in a lot of ways. Well, the radios, I think the radio stations haven't really done their job
Mm-hmm.
in terms of really getting out there
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with that problem. Because again, you got to figure there's not enough people really out there to really deal with the problem the way it should be dealt with in terms of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's been happening for a while. So the stations a lot of times as well, this is going to sue me, get in line, that kind of stuff. So,
Right. Right.
so you just got to try to let them deal with it.
Yeah. Okay. Like at least you've been in the mission for 20 years, so I was going to ask you like about the makeup of the mission district. Has it changed largely in your eyes as far as like the makeup of the people in the mission?
Yeah, I would say it has. There's been a lot of, a lot of the bigger ethnic group. As I would say this, there are a lot of other people who've come in other than Latin.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a lot of Chinese people that have come into the area. A lot of blacks have come into
Right.
the area.
Right. Polynesians. Also.
Polynesians, Samoans, which is basically,
Yeah.
and Filipinos. Well, a real big mixture, but it's more so now than it was, say, I guess at least even 6-7 years back. But there's
Yeah.
been an increase. I mean, it's pretty clear. I mean, obviously.
Right. Yeah. Another aspect that I was more sort of personally interested in was the whole BART phenomenon entering the mission, and like its influences and effects on the mission. Because that was a heavy step in history, I believe. Of the
Yeah.
mission district. Can you sort of elaborate on that?
Well, yeah. I mean, certainly bringing Bart in has changed it because it's
Right.
given more people more access
Right.
to that particular area, mainly 24th Street and 16th, which is right about the heart of the mission.
Right.
And it's given other people more access to it. And then, of course, you've got your real estate speculators, that have come in, well, we're there already.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, McDonald's was a good example of that,
Yeah. I
and
remember.
the kind of struggle that went on there.
Right.
And no question that, other businesses would like to move into the mission, seeing as that particular area is, you have the best weather there. It's flat, you can
Right.
build things on there
Right.
fairly easy. It's not going to cost you as much to reinforce the land and, what have you. and I I figure that some people are thinking of moving everybody out of there, and not make it a residential thing, but more commercial.
More commercial. Yeah, that goes into my next question. Was like the attempted rezoning of the Mission District a part of that whole master plan? Let's say.
Yeah, I'm assuming it is. I don't know have the facts, but
Yeah.
judging from the past
Right.
experiences,
Right.
it tells you
The
that
way things fall. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not, we're not as not backward, but we're not as
Naive and
naive
yeah.
about what's going on as we might have been, and I don't
Right.
think we really were even at that point. It's
Mm,
just that again, it just takes a little organizing, to get people to see what's going on, and this incidentally happens in any community. I mean, a lot of times when you talk about, how naive people are or don't understand, it's not just the mission community or the black community that doesn't understand. Any community, with any amount of people, will always have this kind of a situation. Where of
right.
course you're not gonna. It's like
Why do you think that exists?
what's that?
This this naiveness. I think maybe it's part of that comes from not being told. You
Yeah,
know,
well, that's the whole thing.
right?
And there's
Not enough
not
information.
enough information, and it's not clear if they do, if they do send the information, it's not to where people can really understand it. I mean, not everybody's got a law degree,
Right.
and this is
Right.
what I think we assume. We assume too much when we say we send information, and and again, I'm not just looking at the mission community. I mean, you can look at any community
Hmm.
and give them information, not and they're not going to be satisfied because either they can't understand it. I mean, here we got caught up in that with the Proposition 13,
Right.
and this happened all over the place. And what I'm saying is that people are now saying, "Well, we didn't understand what Proposition 13 was about," and that's
Right. Yeah. Because I believe also that proposition. Well, in the talking about Proposition 13, the media did a fair job of confusing a whole lot of people. But back to
they
the
always do a good job.
right. Back to the rezoning. From what I understood, they were going to rezone Cab Street and Mission already was commercial,
Hmm.
and all the way up to I believe it was Valencia, and we are going
Yeah,
to turn that all into more or less a commercial kind of thing, a
yeah,
whole bigger Mission Street kind of idea.
right.
And the people got together behind that after they realized what was really
Know
going
what's really
down
happening.
and put a stop to that, which
Hmm.
I feel good about.
Yeah, because there's always that. Certainly, if you get a good group of, say, organize a good group of people that do understand the
Yeah,
issue and are
yeah,
able to explain it, in a way where everybody can see, where it's coming from. Then you
mm,
can stop that kind of thing.
right. Do you know who more or less did the organizing behind
I
it?
believe it was the La Raza Information Center,
Right there on
yeah,
24th,
right
huh?
on 24th Street, who was mainly the people responsible
For
for dealing with that
yeah,
issue.
yeah, because at that time I wasn't very aware of what was going on, but I heard about it, later on,
Hmm.
and I felt that that was a really heavy issue at that time. So Manuel, can you give us any more insight to your historical kind of the mission?
Well, I see a lot of the people that are that used to be around for a while are coming back.
How's that?
Well, uh, like I said, a lot of people that had been working for a while. A lot of them went back to school,
Uh huh.
that kind of thing. Now they're coming back with their degrees. I just hope
Yeah.
that
Do you
you
see
know.
Do you see like more professional people being involved with the mission?
Well, I see a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of more professional people coming in. I mean, that had been there before, and then kind of broke away, went back to school. The only thing that I kind of hate to see a lot of times is too many times people come into a community with a degree and they think that they've got all the knowledge, and the only really thing that I see is that they can speak or articulate it a little better than most of the people. And then if you throw a word at him, the person doesn't understand it. He's not gonna make it seem like he doesn't know. So
Right. Right.
unfortunately, a lot of these people use that as a way of getting around a lot of things, and really not doing anything except providing for themselves. And I
Right.
think we just need to try to deal with that, as best we can.
Sure. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Personally, I haven't really know. Haven't like I've been involved with working with Mission Media Arts, and I know that the organizing around there has been become a lot better. Like I've been involved with them for 5 years, and I know that during this last summer session, the summer program that we have, which we have every summer, where we teach young people how to use video equipment, that the organizing was much more together, due to the fact that there was more, let's say, well, not really professional as far as BAs or anything like that go, but professional people as far as community
Mhm.
workers go, administrators stuff.
Yeah, well, people in Mission Media Arts have been around for a while
Right.
too.
Uh,
Because I was working with them back in '69 and '70, and certainly, the number of people that are still there that have been, so they've learned a lot, and they're more able to put these kinds of programs together, which at that stage, and that's going back to '69.
right, at
Everybody
least
was
10 years. Yeah.
barely just starting in a lot of ways. A lot of us were just really getting involved
Hmm.
for the first time. But during that period, you know, we were able to keep it together.
Yeah, it's a learning process, right?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
learning process, and
Right.
just like anything else. So now today, most of them, like I said, they're better equipped, to deal with problems, and then as far as organizing, they have more knowledge about it. Like, it doesn't take you 2 days, to do something before. It might
Right.
take you 2 days to do a certain thing, where today it
It'll
maybe
take you
take you
less.
half a day, maybe
Right.
even less than that.
Right.
Pick up a phone and call somebody.
Exactly. Yeah. For those of you who don't know what Mission Media Arts is, it's Mission Media Arts is a group in the Mission District that works with uh, video equipment, half-inch black and white video equipment, and their philosophy is a media for social change. And that's about it for today, Manuel. You have been listening to Memories, and our guests today have been Manuel Lares, who again is a coordinator working as a coordinator for California Voter Registration Education Project, and my name is Mario Salgado.